I see some faces. Hey, what's up, Christine? For those of you, if you could, that are just joining, if you could mute your phone. I do not have access to mute you, so.
You want to make me a co-host there, Mr. Corey? I can help with that.
Okay. Let's see here. I don't have co-host. I don't have make host. That's okay. I got it. You're going to be doing more than speaking than me.
All right. Well, I'm excited.
Awesome. It is 9 o'clock on the East Coast, 6 o'clock on the West Coast. We are coast to coast tonight, y'all. So thanks for hopping on. I just want to welcome you to this awesome call that we are having tonight. It's all about keto education. If you're remotely interested in anything keto, this is you're on the right place. You found us. And I'm going to ask everyone just some housekeeping. If you're new to Zoom, if you could please mute your phone, so that way we don't have any extra feedback. And then there'll be an opportunity at the end of this call to ask any questions. But we're going to try to stop this at 9:30 East Coast time, just because we know your time is valuable. You've decided to join something on a Monday, Labor Day night, right? So let's get rolling here. I just wanted to first introduce myself. My name is Corey Calvin. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I have been using, this interesting product that, we can talk about later, but I've been part of a keto lifestyle now for a number of years. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know somebody that's going to be helping us on this call tonight, Dustin Schaefer, who is probably one of the world's leading experts on keto. So y'all, this is going to be a treat for you tonight. If you've ever been curious about what is keto, why is ketosis important, what are the benefits of a keto diet, what benefits can you expect when you're in ketosis? Look, you found the right place. This is what it's all about. When I had been getting to know keto and ketones and being in ketosis, I kind of didn't have any clue what I was doing. And I didn't really realize that, being in ketosis has so many benefits. The one that I love the most is all about my mental clarity. I'm an author. I've written 2 best-selling books. They're both on Amazon. And my brain energy was tanking in the afternoon. And I realized that I was only using glucose. I wasn't using ketones in my liver, in my body. But when I made that switch over to using ketones, it was like, who's watched The Wizard of Oz? Anybody? I hope y'all, if you've ever watched movies, you've watched The Wizard of Oz. So, tell me anybody know what happens if just in the chat, what happens when it's all black and white and Dorothy's spinning in the house and all of a sudden the thing jumps down, the house crashes and it's all quiet and she opens the door. What happens, y'all, at that moment? Anybody have an idea in the chat? It becomes colorful. It's like you can start seeing in color. When I became in ketosis, it was like, holy crap. I was not living optimally as I was born to live, right? So it was crazy. So my biggest benefit being in ketosis is just, I feel like my life is finally turned on. And I started learning all about ketosis over the past 14 months. And interestingly enough, when I've been sharing this keto conversation, there are some people on the call, y'all. I don't know who's on here. Oh, Steph Bowerman is on here. Peggy Freese is on here. I've had the pleasure of working with a couple women who's made it a goal to lose a lot of fat, a lot of weight. Peggy Freese, who you might have got to know at different places or heard her name. She was my bus driver when I was in elementary school. She's going to be 60 years old next year. She weighed 422 pounds when she came to me and she said, Corey, I need help. And I said, let's get you into ketosis. Peggy's been in ketosis now for almost a year. She's lost 136 pounds and her life has forever changed. She never was able to walk 20 feet without having to sit down. But you know what? Now she can walk 2 miles at a 20-minute mile over a viaduct in her hometown of Montpelier, Ohio. Steph Bowerman on here is my neighbor at my lake house. She's lost 112 pounds because she's been in ketosis. So you know what? Tonight we're going to talk about what ketosis is, and I want to introduce someone who's actually been an amazing mentor to me, and I've gotten to know over the past 14 months. His name is Dustin Schaefer. He's in California right now. He is fired up for this call. I am fired up to talk, and I'm going to interview him tonight. But Dustin, thanks for joining us. You know, honestly, probably one of the world's leading experts on keto. Dustin, go off on mute. I want to know, when I say world's leading keto expert, tell me kind of, just help people understand quickly what that means, because you've had the opportunity to work with some amazing experts around the world, and you're one of them.
Well, hey, buddy, I appreciate it. And you may have to mute out your phone when I chat here. But you know what's interesting is
you're muted on Zoom. I can't hear you on Zoom.
And that is what it all means. I'm just kidding. So here's the deal. You know what's funny is that there's people out there that have more scientific background than I do. There's people out there that have more maybe technical ideas of what ketones are. But what I'm very proud of is that I've lived in a ketogenic state for nearly all of my adult life, meaning for over 20 plus years. Not only that is I've been able to coach people. I coach people, thousands of people through the hardcore diet. And let me tell you, everybody quits. And I mean everybody. Nobody stays to it. They all start and get off. But yet they feel the best they ever felt when they had high-level ketones. And then over the last 6 years, I've been blessed to not only host the largest keto event in the entire world, right there, the largest event in the world. I get to work with and talk to the doctors from the former chairman of NASA, the researchers, the top metabolic specialists, to the top fitness researchers in the world, to basically you name it, top formulators in the world. So I've kind of had the unique perspective is, number one, coaching people on a diet that's really hard. Number two, understanding the science behind it, working with a lot of the thought leaders in it. But number three, how do you implement and teach people how to live their life the way they want to, implementing ketones, elevating their ketone levels, and actually getting your cake and eat it too? Just everybody has a different amount of cake, Corey, and you have to be okay with that.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man. No, honestly, like, this is going to be an exciting call. You know, I'm so fired up for this call. We're ready to jump in. And I want to do this more, if you're okay with this, Dustin, open to like maybe interview you a little bit, just because you have so much knowledge that you're going to be able to give. Like, this event, it's all about giving back to you. You guys made an effort to come on at 9 o'clock or wherever you're at in the United States or world to hop on and listen and learn. Look, we're all about giving. We want to help you become the best version of yourself. That's what this is all about. So I'm going to interview Dustin, then we'll open up some questions at the end. You know, Dustin, let's kick it off here. Help us understand. We've heard this word keto, ketosis, right? Like, people are like, you know, I've heard all these things. I see the packaging. Like, why is ketosis so important?
Well, hey, I'm going to have you mute out your Zoom if you don't mind when I speak. I'm getting a little bit of a backlash. Okay. So that's a great question, because a lot of people are like, most people don't even have the whereabouts to understand the whole complexity of ketogenics or ketosis. It's been studied for 100 years. But why are ketones so important is because the simplest answer, Dr. Stephen Cunnane out of Canada talks about. He goes, it's a primitive fuel, meaning it's a energy, it's a fuel that our body has utilized all of our human existence. And if you don't elevate, the biggest thing is if you don't elevate ketones. I was in a meeting with Dr. Angela Poff out of University of South Florida, and somebody brought up a question, and she's like, what if you don't have ketones in your system? What is your life like then? Let's look at it the other way. And she goes, look around. How many people walk around with awesome energy all day? How many people walk around with sustainable focus? How many people walk around physically feeling confident and healthy in their body? How many people walk around with the confidence that they know that they can get through their day without binge eating on a bunch of stuff? She goes, when you're in ketosis, you elevate all of those. You have more energy, more focus, better mood, better sleep, better fat loss, better fat metabolism. So why ketones are so important is, number one, is it's a preferred fuel by the brain. Your brain loves ketones. Number two, it's a sustainable energy source for your muscle, your system, and your heart. And number three, it helps with this thing called the metabolic switch. I'm not going to get super deep into that technically, but there's a transporter, there's a GLUT4 transporter in your body that helps you metabolize body fat. Well, if that's been turned off and it doesn't turn back on, I don't care what kind of diet you have or how strong you are, how much willpower you have, you will fail ultimately in a fat loss journey. The challenge is some people quit drinking ketones too soon to flip that switch back on. That switch has to be turned on so that your body can stay in this state of fat burning mode, so you can elevate your own ketones while you utilize utilize ketones to lengthen the brain. I'm big into anti-aging also, Corey. So why ketones are so important? It's sustainable fuel for your brain, your muscles, body, to fat metabolism, to sustained energy, and it's an unbelievable anti-ager. So if you want to get healthy, ketones will have to play a big role in that. Otherwise, you're not going to get there on your own.
So I'm going to ask you this. Can you just help me understand the different ways to get into ketosis, right? So I think there's a lot of people are out there like, oh, I'm in ketosis, and there's lots of little things you can blow on and strips you can do and all that kind of stuff. But like, just if you could just simplify it for us, what are the ways that we can get into ketosis besides being born, which I think that's the first way, right? but like, can you help us understand what are the ways that we can get in ketosis?
Yeah, absolutely. So being born is one way. Yes, children are born, babies are born. Breastfed babies have ketones through breast milk. They get into their system. But as an adult, there's 3 ways that people can get into ketosis. Number 1 is a strict ketogenic diet. It's been studied, the longest studied diet in modern day history. It's been 100 years. And it's a high fat, low carb, moderate to low carb, low protein diet. Now, I'm talking about therapeutic ketosis. It matters. You have to have a high enough number or level of ketones to really make big health benefits. Number 2, so that's a strict diet. Number 2 is fasting. Long times of fasting. I was at a research conference in Banff, Canada. The guy said you should only eat 3 to 4 times a week. That was his advice. 3 to 4 times a week. He's an anti-aging specialist for like health and vitality. I'm like, well, that's not going to work. And then number 3 is drink ketones, right? So some of the biggest breakthroughs in scientific history and research started about 10 years ago. And now modern day, 6 years now, we brought together to the world drinkable ketones, which is obviously the most efficient, fastest, and sustainable way of getting into ketosis. So those are the 3 ways.
No, thank you for that. So you mentioned, ketones at the end, and, it's interesting, when you say a strict diet, it sounds like there are ways that are easier to get into ketosis than others, right? You had mentioned something about how some people, they really had to stick to a very strict diet for you to get ever into ketosis. So like, can you help people understand like how long it can take to get into ketosis through a diet versus maybe the other options, right? Like how fast does that usually work? And then how do you sustain that to really get all the benefits?
Yeah, so if you're talking about diet alone, if you're already super healthy, super fit, super athletic, you're basically Mr. Perfect or Mrs. Perfect, good for you. 3 days, you can get into a therapeutic level in ketosis in 3 days. It can take up 6 weeks for others to do it. But here's the funny thing is Dr. Mohiki Perotti just did research on this, and she says roughly, 40 to 60% of Americans will not sustain ketosis no matter how perfect their diet is ever because of this gluten transporter can't turn back on. So that means their body won't ever produce enough therapeutic ketones to actually sustain itself. So they're in the worst place ever, which is majority of people probably watching this right now. And unfortunately, most of the people you care the most about. So that's why she's been studying our product so much. So dietary wise, and that's being perfect, y'all. I literally was at Ohio State University, and they had people locked in rooms doing the ketogenic diet. They literally had them to study them. They had them locked into rooms, and they fed them a protocol. Like that's how they controlled it all. Just to kind of give people perspective of like, I'm just going to do the diet. It's not that simple. It's very complex. It took me years to figure out, and it took me years to teach people how to do it.
Okay, so. Yeah, I've had people come up and be like, oh yeah, I'm in ketosis. Like I've been doing this for 6 months. But you're saying the 40 to 60% can really never get the therapeutic benefit of actually doing all that hard work?
And not sustain it, nope.
Ooh,
that's what the science said.
Wow.
She's pretty.
So talk to me. You talked about ketones, and obviously the product you held up is Keto Nets, right? That's a package of ketones. That's something you consume. And obviously that can get you into ketosis in 60 minutes or less. Why is that better for people to do than, obviously maybe you guys, it's common sense, like doing like a diet per se.
Well, I think the most important thing people have to keep in mind is we're talking about therapeutic ketone levels. We're talking about to a certain level where your brain can maximize, your heart, your body, your muscle system can maximize. You can actually master metabolism to burn fat. And to do that, it becomes sustainable. There's a reason why we live in a world. If we could go back in time 4,000 or 5,000 years and live like we did then, it'd be easy to teach the diet. It would just be a natural process. But let's be honest, I like pumpkin pie. I like to indulge. I like a lot of fruit. I like certain things. I'm more of a paleo guy than a keto guy, right? And there's all these other things that you want to have. And I don't want to count calories every day. I don't want to count fat every day. I don't want to count protein every day. So when you can drink ketones, it provides a therapeutic level, no matter what your age is, no matter how old you are. I already said that. No matter what your lifestyle is like, no matter how unhealthy you are or how fit you are. That's why I literally am shipping product to one of the top female athletes in the entire world. She's an Olympic gold medalist, multiple gold medals. She drinks the same product my mom, my wife drinks. We're all different places in our life. But we can give people a sustainable amount of ketones all at the same time. That's intelligent, right? That's just basically like I can give you a baseline where you now take the time to help you find a diet that you're willing to follow. We always say the only good diet is the one you're willing to follow. And that's why drinking ketones is the secret weapon. That's why it's probably going to be the biggest breakthrough. And this is from some of the top researchers, the biggest breakthrough of this century when it comes to health and vitality of at least our country and, well, most countries actually. And so to me, it's a no-brainer. I didn't want to do a ketogenic diet. I had to for medical reasons, right? I want ketones in my system. My mom wants ketones in her system. She doesn't want to follow a strict plan and diet every single day. She wants to enjoy her life. And that's where the have your cake and eat it too comes in. And that's going to be different for everybody.
So I have a lot of people that ask me this, like, Corey, do I have to follow a strict ketogenic diet when I consume ketones? So can you just address that question? Because people are confused about, what they need to do while they're consuming ketones for the best benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. So people get that confused all the time because they think keto diet, and the keto diet's gotten crazy. A lot of people right now, 6 years ago, nobody talked about the keto diet, and to prove it, once we launched, everybody's talking about keto. The word keto is starting to buzz, and so it's hard because we just assume keto and we put the diet together. And that's because of the media, mainstream media is talking about it, and it's going crazy, and people just get overwhelmed and confused. And so the reason our product exists is so you never had to do the ketogenic diet. Now, is there benefits in doing a low carb or a modified keto or keto-ish diet with drinking ketones? Absolutely. As soon as you reduce carbohydrates, that's good for you no matter what diet you're doing. If you're not using your carbs, getting rid of them is going to be a good thing. Meaning if you're not a physical athlete, you're not pushing your body, eating too many carbs, it's not a super healthy thing for us. And now certain carbs can vary, right? Now, if you're reducing processed food, if you're taking care of yourself, if you're exercising more, all that's going to be added bonus. But Corey, you not have to follow a ketogenic diet. You have to find a diet that you're willing to follow. I just interviewed a guy he does 350 grams of carbs a day. He's a bodybuilder, and he loves our product. Every day he texts me, Dustin, I got a new benefit. This is amazing. And he looks like an Adonis. He's a beautiful man. And he found a way to utilize it as a tool because he wanted ketones too without doing the diet. So that's what's really special. I think that people need to understand hopefully more.
Okay. I'm trying to unmute my phone. So, I get this all the time, the benefits of ketosis and the keto and being in ketosis, right? So I get a lot of people that, my benefit, the reason I use, you talked about this bodybuilder, he doesn't necessarily want to lose, he probably wants to lean out and bulk up. But, this product I've learned wasn't created necessarily to help people lose weight, which is why I would get people that come to me and say, Corey, I want to lose body fat. Because I always say, what do you hope to get out of using ketones? What do you hope to get out of being in ketosis? And I think, in the United States, and most people want to lose body fat. So that's primarily what it's used for. But maybe you can help clarify, because this goes way beyond fat loss, right? Like anybody that's ever done any type of research on the brain, this is crazy stuff. So can you just help us understand, I get some people say, Corey, I don't want to lose fat. How could this benefit me, right? I'm one of those people, but maybe you have, because of your science background and kind of what you know about this, help us understand all the benefits, really. If someone came to you and said, what can this really do for me? What would you tell them?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'm going to tell everybody, it starts with the brain. What people don't realize is that after the age of 35, the research says 38, but we know it's earlier than that. The brain starts to shrink and gap. It basically doesn't uptake energy the right way. So your brain is not getting the fuel that it needs. I don't care what you're eating. I don't care what kind of CrossFit you do. It doesn't matter how amazing you are or not amazing you are. Your brain isn't getting the fuel. Now, if you've been hitting the head more, if you have more carbohydrates in your past, like I did when I used to eat my Nutty Buddies and Pepsi after my paper route, that all slows the brain down even more, right? The brain is the primary reason you should be drinking ketones and you should be in ketosis therapeutically. And it fills the gap. Basically, as this gapping happens, your brain slows down. When your brain slows down, everything else is impacted. Hormones are impacted, neurotransmitters are impacted, mood's impacted, how our body responds to stress is impacted. All these factors are impacted. So the ketones will actually get to parts of the brain that glucose isn't getting to anymore. So the anti-aging part of it, of the brain, is huge. Now, it also has this aspect of turning on this metabolic switch. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. And so the biggest reason you should be drinking ketones is to protect your brain from getting older. Number one, you're going to be in heightened mood, heightened focus. That's going to happen. Now, that can take up to 6 weeks because there's some gaps. Some of y'all have some serious gaps that need to be filled. Let's be honest. I've been hitting the head a lot. I have lots of gaps to fill. It literally took me almost 6 full months therapeutically to get the whole effect that I was looking for. My wife, it took 6 weeks. So those are the biggest ones: sustained energy and improved sleep. We'll see that as a big factor also. This improved sleep is a huge component because that helps with recovery, helps with human growth hormones, helps with anti-aging. Everything has a cascade effect. But I think really the biggest factors, anti-aging, mood, and focus, and sleep, are the ones that people kind of forget about when it comes to being in ketosis. And they think that if they took that part more serious, they would take this product more serious. Because guess what? When you increase mental clarity, increase focus, increase mood, increase sleep, and you increase metabolic function, you now improve your body's ability to metabolize fat, not just for a short-term fat loss goal. Peggy wants to lose 150 more pounds. How many more pounds? 65 more pounds or something?
She only needs about I don't know, 80. She's almost there.
Okay, so she wants to lose 80 more pounds. It's not about Peggy losing 80. It's about Peggy maintaining a new life. And she can only do that if everything is working in her system the proper way. That's why people have lost weight and gained it, because they haven't actually retrained their body system. That's what this will do for you if you're willing to see it through. So it's pretty remarkable what it does.
I just got that question today. And I get this probably once a day now. Someone asked, well, what happens when I stop taking the ketones? And I have my answer, but I'm curious what you tell people, because it's really interesting, because I think people in their head think they have to do a diet and then they just give it up after they've hit their goal. But this is a fuel source for your brain, so it's not really a diet. So what do you tell people when they ask you that question? Like, what happens when I stop? Will I gain the weight back?
Well, it kind of depends what they're starting for. If it's for fat loss or weight loss, I just tell them, listen, if you change your life, if you change everything about your life, then you can maintain it. You don't necessarily may not maintain as feeling good, because you have to still maintain therapeutic ketones in your system. I can't change that if you're going to commit to a full ketogenic diet. If not, you're going to have to find a way to supplement. It's no different than it's kind of like if you make all the money you want in the world to retire, you still better remember to make sure something's coming in. Does that make sense? Otherwise, it'll drain at the back end too fast, and then you'll eventually end up with nothing. So you want to still make sure that you're doing something. So you may not have to push it as hard. You know, you want to run a marathon, do you have to still keep running after you're done? No, but if you want to still be a decent runner, you better keep running. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You better keep doing something, otherwise you'll lose everything you gain. There's no difference in this. And it's all about creating new lifestyles. And that's why we're a lifestyle brand, not a diet company. It's about creating lifestyles that people are willing and wanting to do and are proud of, because that's the reason you want to inspire others to do it, right? You want other people, you want to see your family change and people's lives change. That's how you make an impact in the world. And that's why we do what we do is for the whole package, not for one reason.
I love that. And the last question I'm going to ask you before we open to any questions, if you guys have any questions, please type it in the chat. And we can ask Dustin. Here's your chance. If you have any questions or talking about keto, let me know. But Dustin, again, I think a lot of people come to me with this they really want to master fat loss. And obviously, we're helping a lot of people lose body fat. Peg, 136 pounds, Stephanie, 112 pounds. I've heard so many stories, 50, 60 pounds, 20 pounds, pant sizes down. I mean, you name it. I get text messages on a daily basis about what crazy story they're having. So help us, like, I know a lot of people want to lose fat. Obviously, I'm using it for the brain. Hopefully y'all are using it for the brain. But, you know, we want more benefits too, which is cool. So how do we master fat loss using this product?
Well, there we go. I'm live. Okay, so here's what I want to do is I want everybody to just take notes out. I want to get your pen and paper out. I want you to write a few things down. Number one thing is you got to keep this in mind. It doesn't matter how magical our product is. It doesn't matter how magical low-carb dieting is for fat loss. If it took you 20 years to gain 100 pounds, it's going to take you at least 20 months to get rid of it. You got to be patient, and you got to get rid of the scale. So throw away your scale first off. Commit to this journey because it works. It works every time. I can't tell you. Remember, the metabolic switch. I'm going to give you the foundation of fat loss, but I get as many times I get people like I lost weight. I get people say, well, it's not working fast enough for me, or I didn't lose weight fast enough. So they quit. They quit for 2-3 years. They come back and they have to try again. Well, the reason they quit too soon, remember, the first thing is that metabolic switch. If it's off, you cannot be a maximized fat burner. You're not going to burn fat very fast. Okay. At first, my sister for 8 weeks literally yelled at me every day because that scale didn't move at all. She's down 100 pounds now, y'all. 8 weeks, no movement, down 100 pounds. You wouldn't even recognize her as the same person. So I want you to keep this in mind. I want you to really keep this in mind. You have to be patient. If you're not at fat loss pool and you're not doing this for 60, 90, 120 days, 6 months, and you're not thinking that way, you are already putting yourself in a failure mindset and you're going to mess it up. Don't do that. This works. I promise you. So here's the secret of fat loss. I'm going to give you the very basic. The first thing you want to do, especially if you're brand new, is put the ketogenic diet and don't Google it. Don't go over there and start following all these keto people. It's going to mess you up. There's a reason why. Remember, they may be keto experts, and I know some of them, but they don't coach people every day. And then the ones that coach people every day have only coached like 30 people. So I'm talking about all the people in the world. I want to give you the simple reason, the simple recipe to be successful in mastering fat loss. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to wake up every morning, and you're going to have a big glass of water. You got to stay hydrated. You know why? It's because one of the ways to metabolize fat is you got to urine. You got to pee. You got to stay hydrated. So huge. You got to stay hydrated. One big glass of water, and then you're going to make your ketones up. And you're going to replace your first meal of the day, your morning meal, your morning breakfast. If you don't eat breakfast, you're still going to have this at breakfast. You're going to drink your first ketones over 30 to 40 minutes for breakfast. Okay? I'm going to give you every little tip secret of doing fat loss, mastering fat loss, okay? You're going to drink this for breakfast. And then what you're going to do is you're going to eat your first meal around 12 o'clock. Okay, it could be a 1, it could be 11, I don't care, around 12 o'clock. And I want you to do this. I want you to focus on low carb, not high fat. Now, I'm not afraid of fat. Don't be afraid of fat. Be okay to use fat. Don't go start adding tons of fat. The reason why is you don't know your system yet, and your system doesn't know your system yet. I want to set you up for success, and you can start adding more fat and play with fat later, a few months later, once you've lost 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds, then you can play around with the fat. And if you add too much, guess what? You'll slow down your weight loss, your fat loss journey. So you're going to have a low carb meal, protein and vegetables, protein and low carb vegetables. Y'all, this isn't rocket science. It is this simple. Then what you're going to do is if you're not hungry, don't eat at all until 6 o'clock. I want you to eat at 6 o'clock. I'm going to talk about a couple tips at the end. I want you to have another protein and vegetable at 6 o'clock. Now, if you're a man, probably more. Active person, probably more. Inactive, probably less. But I want you to eat those 2 pieces of protein and those 2 vegetable sources. Okay, low carb vegetables. I want you to have those. Sometimes you're going to say, Dustin, I'm not hungry at all. Yes, that's okay. But we're going to talk about that in a second. If you need an extra boost in the afternoon, you can have an extra keto nap in the afternoon. If you need an extra boost, have a keto nap in the afternoon. Okay, you can have a half, you can have a full one if you need an extra boost. All right, don't eat after 8 p.m. That is it. That is as simple as is. That will master fat loss, and I'm going to give you a couple tips here. You need to be drinking at least, I'm going to take this back, somewhere between 60 ounces of water and 120 ounces of water. 60 and 120. You have to hydrate. Remember, urination is going to be part of fat burning. It's going to help. That's how we eliminate fat. We eliminate it 3 ways, right? Through urine, through sweat, and through breath. All right, it's part of the process. So guess what? Something else you're going to want to add. If you really want to master fat loss, you've got to start moving your body. Listen, you've got to exercise. Our product is amazing. Listen, it's amazing. set yourself up for success. Get out and start walking. Get out and start biking. Get out and start moving your body. You don't have to join a gym at first. Just go move. The more you move, the more you breathe. The more you breathe, the more you sweat. The more you sweat, the more you urine because you drink a bunch of water. And you're setting yourself up to metabolize more fat efficiently, right? You're burning more calories. You're setting yourself up. So 2 protein meals and low-carb vegetables a day, right? 2 protein meals, low-carb vegetable days, 1 to 2 servings of drink, lots of water, move your body. Now, here's my tips for you. These are the big ones. Be careful of this. Googling keto dessert. They screw people up. Or you're like, I can eat all the cheese I want. Big mistake. These are the things that people do. They go and they start pounding cheese. Well, cheese has potentially an inflammatory problem. It's not something we can add a lot more of. I'm not saying don't eat it. Don't add a bunch of crap. Proteins and vegetables. This is how basic this is, y'all. Don't go start adding tons of nuts to your diet. Don't go find keto desserts and start making a bunch of fat bombs, a bunch of keto desserts. That's not the secret because that's not healthy stuff anyway. Can you have it from time to time? Sure. But get confident in how your body works. Get confident in how you start metabolizing fat. Once you start losing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, well, guess what? Play around with a little bit of stuff. But if you plateau, get that out. It's messing you up. So a couple more tips, Corey. So that's 2 meals a day, 1 to 2 NAD a day. It's simple as that. The 2 meals a day, and it pretty much pays for the product, right? Because you're already reducing snacking and reducing all these carbs and sugars. And if you have 100 pounds on you, you have 350,000 calories you don't need to eat. Y'all, so there's lots of energy there. But the couple other tips I want to give you is that if you really want to master fat loss, you should be doing 24 fast with us. And that's where you can do 1 meal a day on Mondays. We have a kit that comes along with it. It's amazing. I do it every single Sunday night to Monday. I'm having my meal here in a little bit. We're grilling out tonight. And then do the reboot with us. They're both accelerators to your health, anti-aging, recovery, and fat loss. So if you're not doing those, you're really not that serious about your fat loss journey. So move your body. Also, I want to tell you one more thing is smile more, be happier. Happy people lose weight faster. So when you're out there moving your body, shake your butt, dance to some Richard Simmons, dance to the oldies, have some fun. And keep this simple. Right now, too many people are out there Googling keto and going on Instagram and following all these crazy recipes. And eating is simple. It's boring. It is boring. Long term, you got to find ways to make it fun, but don't start having fun until you've gotten confident in how your body burns fat. Then you can start having fun and find the deviations. Find the way to have your cake and eat it too, but don't go too quickly away from that. Now, some of you lucky people out there, all you have to do is drink the product, eat 2 meals a day, and you shrink and you have to do anything else. Good on you. But for the rest of us that have to watch their carbs, 2 protein meals a day, 2 low carb with low carb vegetables, 1 to 2 drinks a day. That's it.
Woo! I am fired up, man. That was like dropping bomb after bomb after bomb, and not keto bombs, but these are like bomb nuggets, like brain nuggets here. Lock that in, write that down. We only have 5 minutes left. We have some questions I want to get to quickly if we can. But hey, like Dustin said, we do a 60-hour reboot. It's available the first week of every single month. If you don't do that, get a 24-hour fast. I know Peggy does this once a week, y'all. And look, if you're new to ketones, get 1 or 2 challenge kits. We have 10-day challenge kits. This is a great way to get in and commit to 60 to 90 days, just like Dustin talked about, okay? And here's the last thing I'll say before I'm asking some questions. If you're remotely interested in anything you heard tonight, get with the person that invited you to this call, okay? They're going to be able to help you through all this, navigate this, learn more about it, get something if you want to try it, but get with the person that invited you to tonight's call. So Dustin, we have a couple of questions, and I'm going to say if you're in Northwest Ohio, on Sunday, we got one of the top income earners of the company, Michael Rutherford, is coming to Montpelier, Ohio. If you're within 2 hours or 3 hours of driving in Northwest Ohio, you got to get to the event. It's going to be, amazing. If you're in Northwest Indiana, Michigan City, that night, there's another event. If you guys are in those, reach out to the person that invited you. We can figure out how to get you there. But hey, Dustin, I got a couple quick questions. Type 2 diabetics. How do you help?
Well, here's the big thing is if you're dealing with a health challenge, medical challenge, and you're struggling with all those things, work with your doctor on these things, right? Work with your doctors. But this is the only piece of advice I give you. Go in there with a plan, show them a plan, and ask them to support you in whatever plan that is that you want to implement it, and work with your doctors on it and make sure it's a good fit for you. So that's the big thing. If you're struggling with a health challenge, you're always going to want to do that.
And the last thing is blood ketone levels after I drink NAT. That's something about probably measuring.
Yeah, so be careful with it because it all comes down to timing. And right now, we don't have a way to measure intracellular ketone levels, unfortunately. They're working on that research since Prove It launched. So what you're looking at is therapeutic. You want to be above 0.5 millimolar of ketones. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a person out there that thinks you need to measure ketones, I wouldn't do that. I think measuring anything messes people up more than it helps. Doesn't mean you can't do it from time to time. Once or twice a year is fine, but if you do it all the time, I think what happens, it messes you up. So, but 0.5 millimolar is that low level. That you want to stay above that. And so, if you're drinking keto nat, you'll stay above that. But at the end of the day, you might now run out if you're not following a strict diet. So everybody's going to be a little different. Remember, though, if your GLUT4 transporter isn't activated and you're just getting started out, you're not burning many ketones on your own. So you're relying strictly on our product because you're not metabolizing fat well yet. And that can take up to 6, 8, 12 weeks for people to metabolize fat well to get their extra support from their own bodies. That's why rebooting in 24 fast is so important because it can help it kickstart that accelerator.
Awesome, man. Hey, this thing's going to shut off in 2 minutes. I just want to thank you for hopping on tonight, spending your 6 p.m. time slot on Labor Day with us out in California. This has been amazing, y'all. Hey, Ty, who'd want to maybe invite someone else to a call similar? Like, are you like, oh my gosh, like someone in your life you're thinking about right now has to hear this? Like, type a 1 in the chat if you're like, oh my gosh, like this was amazing. Someone in my life has to hear this. If you have a 1, here's the deal. We're gonna do the same exact call on Wednesday. The same thing, but we're going to do it in maybe a little bit different style, Dustin. We'll figure out how to mix it up. We'll have some different questions. But if you're someone that's like, oh my gosh, like someone needs to hear this, we're going to do the same thing on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Dustin's going to post this in the Prove It Pulse. Check that. My whole team is going to invite people to this. Dustin's going to have it on his Facebook page. So look, this is amazing. These calls are really helpful. We're all about education and helping people really understand the benefits of ketosis and getting into the keto lifestyle. Look, there are different ways to get to Hawaii, y'all. You could swim and do the keto diet, or you know what? You can fly. And you know what? Maybe drink one of these once or twice a day. So Dustin, thanks so much, man. You're awesome. I appreciate you. So educational, so motivational, so inspirational. If you guys loved anything that you heard about tonight, reach out to whoever invited you to this call. And then also invite people in your life back to this same thing on Wednesday night, same dial-in, same bat time, same bat location. Like, we're going to be here to help. That's what we do. We serve. We want to help. We want to educate. Be sure to get your 10-day challenge. Reach out to who invited you. And that's all we got, folks. Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate you, man.
Cheers, buddy. Appreciate you, too.
See you. You still up here? I think he's still on up here. He doesn't know it. I'm going to pop out, y'all.